Yep.
I believe Defiant Development is a studio comprised of some industry veterans, and they have just released a very interesting game called Hand of Fate on PC, PS4, and the Xbox One. I'll be playing the Xbox One version. I'm Aaron from GameEnthus.com. Mentioned that before I forget, which I often tend to do.
It has been some time since you last sat at the table.
Yes, it
Let us
has.
begin again.
So Hand of Fate is interesting in that it
Another
involves
round, and our game truly
a,
begins.
a genre that, well, a game type I'm never really interested in. I'll be honest, I'm not really a big, card, tabletop card game kind of guy. I like a game of Uno and stuff like that, but I'm not really into like Magic or anything like that. Somebody introduced me to something, yeah, I can play it, I can enjoy it, but I won't go seek anything like that out on my own. So what this game does is it kind of combines the deck
She
building
did not collapse
with
when the
traditional
Empire did.
third-person action.
No, she took up arms, organized her people, and vowed that in a country where death had gathered, she would be the one dealing it.
As opposed to like building roads and helping people feed themselves. Hey, that's her choice. So you start out and you build the deck, you build your equipment, and you get your encounters together, which means the different locales and environments that you'll be in. And the dealer starts, and the game typically starts off with like 5 or 6 cards. Well, I guess it's about 8, and it gives you a chance to acquire some gold. As you see in the lower left, you have health, food, and gold. Moving around from card to card can take a tiny bit of health sometimes, I think, but definitely eats up food, and you can spend gold in various ways to buy weapons and things of that nature. So you're like a traveling healer. So the game tries to give you a chance to get some equipment together before really throwing you into things. For whatever reason, the story starts off from the third person and quickly zooms into just showing you more cards in front of a glowing crystal ball. That's fine. So as you can see here, you can heal wounds and buy things. Other cards that are environments that you'll encounter are mazes, which aren't very long, but they can be deadly. One complaint I do have about this game is sometimes the animation is a little janky. It's nothing that took me out of the game, but I mean, it wasn't. If you ask me if I want jank or no jank, I'd take none. But I think the charm of a game that has me building a deck and caring about cards is a surprise in of itself. So I'm actually fine. If it's a little rough, I don't really care. It didn't bother me. I guess I'll put it that way. I did recognize it. I wanted to make sure I said something about it, but it did not bother me. And the combat is sort of, how can I describe it? It's not quite as deep as an Arkham Asylum or the Asylum games, but there definitely is a countering system, and you can counter projectiles as well as melee attacks. But countering is based on your equipment. If you don't have a shield, you can't block someone's mace coming at your head if you have no shield. It all depends on what you've equipped to be possible to pick when you start the match, when you start that game. So if you didn't pick any shields, you're not going to find any shields. The red streaks over the head indicate that that's a move that cannot be blocked. It can only be dodged. Green means it can be blocked or deflected. I enjoy the combat. It's not particularly deep, but it does get deeper. As you look in the bottom right, you'll see an RB button. Many of the weapons do have multiple functions and can do things like enable you to use magic and things like that. You can stomp the ground and cause like an earthquake, or some weapons might have an effect where they poison the enemy or shoot a projectile. If you block a certain number of times, it'll have a certain effect. So now there's an effect on my weapon, which is making it easier for me to defeat this boss. There's a lot of rolling right now. Yeah, I'm taking a lot of hits there. One thing that might trouble some people is that you can make it all the way up to the end boss in a game. I mean a single game. You shuffle the cards and play. These are your spoils, by the way. You can die, and there's a roguelike element because you can die and then you have to start all over again. Which, if you've been, if you've been in the game for 25 minutes to half an hour, what have you, that may not be what you want to do right then. But you'll know that going in, so you'll do your best to make sure that you have enough food to continue and that you have enough health. And I found a lot of times the game sort of just spared me where I was really low on health or food, and the game did give me an opportunity to continue playing. If you hear my voice like an echo in the background, you notice that the video quality is degraded a bit. I actually I streamed this a couple of weeks ago, and I used some of the streaming in the video as well, so the quality just went down a tad bit because it was being streamed, and I had to pull it off of well, I decided between what I pulled off of YouTube and what I had done locally, which when you are streaming, the local recording isn't quite up to par with how it is if I was not streaming. I've explained way too much, but anyway, I really enjoyed Hand of Fate. I'll admit I have not finished the game. I'm still playing it, but I think I'm about halfway through it. I really like it, and I recommend it to people who really like the card deck building thing and third-person action, and people who don't necessarily think that's something they like. I definitely think it's something that you could get into. The game is quite fun, and there's a lot there. There's a lot there to enjoy.